everybody, and welcome to another Destiny build video. Today we got a really good one in store, and it's going to be a Strand Warlock build. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So what makes this build so good? Well, what makes this build so good is the fact that it will allow you to use anything you have to suspend enemies. And that obviously means that when enemies are suspended, they cannot hurt you, they cannot move, they just sit there like a piñata for you to shoot. It's absolutely insane. As you can see, everything I'm using is suspending enemies, from my arcane needles to literally my own gun and tangles. Like, it does not matter what you get kills with, it will create a suspending blast. It's absolutely insane. It turns you into a master of the weave. Like, nothing can stand in your way. Nobody would be able to survive, as you can see, the 20 yellow bar knights that spawn in a shooting range without a build that has crowd control like this. It is into the sane. Like, there's no better word to describe it than, honestly, impossible. But it doesn't matter because it is possible. So let me show you how to do it. And we're going to start off with our exotic chest armor, which is going to be the hardest one to pronounce in the game, Mataiodoxia. So this is going to allow targets damaged by your arcane needle to emit a suspending detonation when defeated. And landing 2 arcane needles on the same target will immediately trigger a larger, more powerful detonation. Defeating any suspended target will grant you melee energy, and that is very, very crucial. You're also going to want a high melee and grenade stat. Those are the 2 stats you're going to want to go into the most, especially grenade first and then melee as high as you can get it after. I'd say this is a good range, about 100 grenade and 80 melee. Weapon wise, you can use whatever you want. I want to make that perfectly clear. But with Tessellation, this is such a great option because of the part where final blows will grant you grenade energy. If you don't have Tessellation, or you just don't want to use Tessellation, you can also use any other gun that has Demolitionist, aka perks that refund grenade energy. But it does not matter. You technically do not have to use a gun that refunds grenade energy. I just kind of recommend it. But like I said, either Tessellation or Demolitionist is great choices because they help you get back your grenade, which I'll show you in a second why that's so crucial. But let's move over to the subclass now. So we're obviously going to be using Pure Strand subclass. Starting here, we obviously have Needle Storm. You can't really have any other options, but in the future, if there's more choices, put on whatever you'd like. For your Rift, go ahead and put on Healing Rift because it helps you with a little bit of survivability should things go wrong. Use any jump you want. You're obviously going to want Arcane Needle. Even if in the future there's another choice, you want Arcane Needle because of the chest piece working with it. Now you're going to want Shackle Grenade, but we're not even actually using it to throw. And you're going to see why here in the aspect because we're using Mindspun Invocation. This is going to make you have the ability to consume your grenade and give you Weaver's Trance. And any final blow, no matter how you do it, in Weaver's Trance will create a suspending detonation, which will suspend all nearby enemies next to the enemy that you killed. And pairing that with the Wanderer, which is going to allow your tangles you throw to detonate into a suspending burst as well. Destroying the tangle will also do a suspending burst, and it lets Threadling's final blows create a tangle, which is good maybe if you're using a weapon with, say, Hatchling. But these are the 2 you're absolutely going to want to use. As for your fragments, I would highly recommend you stick with these 4 that I have on, starting with Wisdom, which is defeating the suspended targets will create an Orb of Power, which is great because picking up an Orb of Power with the fragment warding is going to give us Woven Mail. So, as you can see, we're starting to play into this suspending thing even more. And while you have that Woven Mail, final blows will create a Tangle, which, yet again, Tangles will suspend enemies because of the Wanderer, allowing you to chain that with your first fragment of Wisdom, which will then repeat the cycle. Suspending a target creates an orb, pick up that orb, get Woven Mail, and all of that. Now for your 4th fragment slot, this is the only one I'd recommend that if you want to change, you can. So the thread of continuity is going to allow your suspend, unravel, and sever effects to last longer. If you want, you can switch that one to defeating suspended targets grants you class ability energy. You can switch it. Just know that it will not, like, this one is great because suspend lasts for longer. And obviously when enemies are suspended, they're in the air and they can't shoot at you. So just know that enemies will come down faster and be able to shoot you. I recommend sticking with that one, but you can swap to the other if you want. So moving on over here to the armor mods, we're going to start in the helmet. And the helmet is going to be pretty simple. You're just going to want to put on a matching Siphon mod on whatever the main weapons element type that you're using. Obviously, if you're using kinetic, put a kinetic one on. If you're using strand, put a harmonic because you're on strand. If you're using stasis or any of the other elements, go ahead and put that Siphon mod instead. This is because, obviously, as we saw when we looked at the subclass, Orbs of Power help us because we get Woven Mail, which is great. 45% damage reduction from that alone. And then, obviously, while we have Woven Mail, kills generate a Tangle, yada, yada, yada. We just keep going with that suspending. So, that's why you're going to want Orbs of Power. So, you're definitely going to want to match a Siphon mod to your weapon, the main weapon that you're using. Now, for the other two slots, you can go ahead and put on anything you like. Heavy Ammo Finder, Dynamo, Ashes to Assets, Hands On. It does not matter. Go ahead and put on anything you want. If you're using two main weapons that are different elements, then you can also go ahead and put on a second Siphon of that element as well. So for the arms, next, we're going to want two Impact Inductions and a Grenade Kickstart. Impact Inductions are going to give us grenade energy on an Arcane Needle hit, which we're going to be using like crazy. And Grenade Kickstart gives us a little more grenade energy too when we use that. Now, for the chest piece, you're just going to want to put on the resistance mods that obviously are beneficial to the activity that you're doing. So for your legs, you're going to want to put on 3 innervations. Though I will admit, you can take one off if you want and put on Better Already or Recuperation. If you really, really, really want to, you can take off 2 innervations and put on like 1 Better Already and 1 Recuperation, and then have 1 innervation still. I don't recommend it. I like having 2 personally, but you can do it if you want. And now on your class item, you're going to want to have 2 bombers and a Reaper on, because using your Rift and putting a healing Rift is going to help a little bit. While that doesn't do too much for the build in general, it will help with Reaper, because if you put the Rift for survivability, your next weapon final blow will spawn that orb yet again, start a whole chain of reaction, and your 2 bombers, when you put down that Rift, is going to help give you back your grenade. So everything is here to help give us our grenade back to get Weaver's Trance. So as you can see, that is everything that goes into this build, making it absolutely insane. The amount of suspending you do, honestly, it just feels illegal. I mean, it's not, it's legit, but man, does it feel illegal. And look at the way you're able to get through this swarm of Yellow Bar Knights. In the shooting range, I think the Hive Knights are one of the best examples. There's other ones that are great, but I think these are one of the best examples on how a crowd control build does. Because if you do not have a build that has the survivability factor, you are not making out of the 20 Yellow Bar Knights they spawn. It just goes to show you how good this build is with its suspending and everything that is built into it. From the Tangles doing it, to the weapon kills because of Weaver's Trance, to the Arcane Needles. Everything is insane. And there is some ways that I'm going to show you here to make the build even better. One of the weapons I found that makes this elite is Wither Horde. As weird as that sounds, Wither Horde is insane, because Wither Horde is going to create the pool that will hurt enemies that are in it. Or if you hit the enemy, he will obviously take tick damage until he dies and then drop a pool below him. What makes this build insane is when you lift the enemies up, even if they're above the pool, they take damage from the Wither Horde pool. And as you can see, the amount of crowd control on these knights is insane. I've barely actually taken any damage from them, because just jumping from left to right makes them so inaccurate. And then putting these pools down and suspending them in place to where the Wither Horde can effectively do its job is invaluable. Like, it's insane how great Wither Horde makes this build. But there's actually another weapon that makes this build extremely good, and that weapon is Bastion. So Bastion is going to amplify this build a lot, and yet again, it is not required. You do not have to use Bastion if you don't want to, But Bastion is going to be great because it allows you to stun unstoppable champions intrinsically, and this perk right here, Saint's Fist, which is going to make it so that after a successful melee hit, which Arcane Needle does count, this weapon will gain increased damage, reduced charge time, and improved reload speed for a short duration. If you hit a target with most of the pellets in a burst, it's going to increase your melee damage for a short duration. And you will see right here in the gameplay footage that will allow your Arcane Needle, when it's active, to literally one tap. Even a yellow bar, as you're seeing here. It is insane. And Bastion intrinsically is capable of just one bursting a yellow bar anyway, making it extremely powerful just as itself. Now pair it with all the suspends, pair it with, the insane amount of Arcane Needles that we're going to have and be able to throw, and it's going to do some serious damage. So Bastion is a fantastic choice alongside Witherhoard and Tessellation. But of course, like I said earlier, it is not required to use any of these weapons or even a legendary weapon with Demolitionist. So feel free to use what you want. So with all of that being said, that's the end of the video. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this build, and let me know in the comments as well any questions or other ideas you would like to see a build made around. If you have an exotic weapon or armor or subclass, certain aspects or whatever that you'd like to see a build focused around, just leave them in the comments. And while you're down there commenting, if you like the video, then why not hit the like button, subscribe, comment, share, all that good jazz, because it tells me you want to see more Destiny videos. With all of that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, I will see you around the tower.